I will now call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. here at Macadavic Place, St. George. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the council's March 2026 regular council meeting. I welcome all those that are attending, and we also have CHCO here tonight. Patrick Watt is in the back, and Vicky Hogarth is doing the camera tonight. At this point, council, I'd look for a motion to adopt the agenda. Councilor Dederakis.
I move to adopt the agenda for the meeting of March 18th, 2026, regular meeting of council with the following additions. I would like to add under new business 10 H, a motion for curb and gutter quotes on Riverview Avenue.
And what was it called again?
Just write curb and gutter quotes, Riverview Avenue, St. George.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor with an addition, 10G, curb and gutter quotes for Riverview. We need a seconder for that. Councillor Thompson. Question or comment on the Councillor Hatt. 10H? 10H. Did I not say 10H? No, what did I say? Okay, sorry. 10H. Okay, no questions or comments. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Conflict of interest tonight. This is your opportunity to declare a conflict of interest. I'll be declaring 9D and 10G myself tonight. Anybody else? No. At this point, I need adoption of minutes of the previous council meetings. I need a motion for that. Councillor Lee.
I move to approve the minutes as circulated by members of council for February the 18th, 2026, regular meeting of council, February the 24th, 2026, committee of the whole, March the 3rd, 2026, committee of the whole, March 10th, 2026, special meeting of council, March 10th, 2026, committee of the whole.
We have a motion on the floor. I need a seconder for that. Deputy Mayor? Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Okay, that brings us up to department reports. At this point, to council, we have the general government report, and I'll go to the CAO, Mr. Gadet.
Thank you, Your Worship. General government report for the month of February. Finance and HR interviews are being conducted for the full-time position in Blacks Harbor, for the public works position. A call out for casual workers is also active for the public works teams. Finance team is working on the annual statements with the financial auditors scheduled to be on site in mid-March. They should be here actually next week. Just let council know that they will be presenting, if not at the next April meeting of council. We may have to have a special meeting sometime between April and in that last period, weekend in May, for the delivery of the audit report. As previously mentioned, work continues on the replacement of our accountant, Mark Porter, who is scheduled to retire this year. Water, wastewater, we met with Condors Brothers on filtration options for Blacks Harbor water system, which would be a welcome addition, especially for the bridge period. On Globe is providing an update on the Blacks Harbor water system renewal in mid-March, working with province on the update for the water system's approval to operate, which is being renewed early due to requirement changes with respect to the Canadian Clean Water Act. These changes include new testing requirements with respect to manganese, pesticides, and radiological elements. We're finalizing the SOP on the fire hydrant inspection that was raised by Councilor Dederakis, I believe, last council meeting. So I just want to make a correction that we incorrectly stated in February that there were some checks on the hydrants, but there was no formal hydrant inspection, which now we are actually putting in place. Childcare Council's decision on tendering for construction of childcare building was held in March, special meeting. Public Works, as winter snow operations slow, focus is starting for spring with pothole repairs and sign replacement. The fire department pickup is scheduled for delivery by the end of March, with the Parks and Rec truck scheduled for arrival in April. So just for anyone keeping the record, 6 months to order a new pickup truck. Since there has been no consistent quoting for the need for concrete work over the last year, an RFQ is being opened for quotes, and I think we just put that on the agenda for tonight. This RFQ is looking at the stretch of sidewalk on Main Street in Blacks Harbor, curb work on Riverview Avenue, St. George, and the installing of the pedestrian island at the corner of Lateet Road and Mount Pleasant. The fire ECFS will be receiving a couple of pumps and wildfire hose as part of Natural Resources Canada program, the Fighting and Managing Wildfires in a Changing Climate Fund. We're still awaiting the borrowing approval to move ahead with the purchase of the new fire truck, which council approved a few meetings ago. Parks and Recreation, the arena items still scheduled for repairs are some exterior windows in the old curling club area and the refit of the compressor in the ice room. We reached out to Silk Stephen again on the ice plant area retrofit. Still no confirmed project draft. Ice comes out of the arena at March the 22nd. There's some events there around the coming of the ice. Housing and Development, Project Village Housing has restarted work on the Willow Court building in Blacks Harbor, and I see that as of today they filed for permitting for the Lewis Connors Drive apartment complex. Compiling pricing for culvert extension on exit 53. The municipal lot for commercial development. Hope to have that on agenda for council next meeting. The lot is basically 2/3 with the waterway. We have a Wawa permit for that as well, just to extend the culvert. A province EIA approved extension will allow for the lot to be filled in, increased attractiveness for commercial development. And the municipal elections will be held on May the 11th, is the election day. Candidate applications are open on March the 23rd and close on April 10th. Application must be filled with Elections New Brunswick. Elections New Brunswick can be reached at www.electionsnb.ca or by calling 888-858-8683. The municipality will be hosting 2 candidate recruitment info sessions. One was held last night in Blacks Harbor, and the other is tomorrow night here at the Macadavic Place at 7 p.m. And that is the general government report.
That's good news for Blacks Harbor to see those two housing units going ahead. So that's good. Now the other housing unit, do we want to make an announcement next month that they're going to 2 buildings, or is that public? No, yeah.
We don't know.
No, okay, good. No, excellent. Questions or comments to Jason? If not, we'll move ahead to the reports of the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission, and Alex Henderson's here tonight. Great, Alex.
Before you and your council agenda, you have a motion regarding a bylaw Z27. This is for a tourism accommodations development in the former village of Blacks Harbor under that rural plan. So council can initiate the process by setting a date of public hearing objections, requesting the views of the planning committee, and possibly giving a reading or 2 to the bylaw itself. Last month, PRAC did a training session in lieu of a regular meeting, and but this month, PRAC has a file in Harborview Heights. This is for changing the building lot's elevation. They want to add in some more fill, more than 1 meter of fill, which has drainage implications, and that is a use subject to terms and conditions. So neighbors are notified, and there's a review. The planning director and the senior building official met with Eastern Charlotte's project coordinator, economic development officer, to meet a developer on site in a commercial building in St. George for a pre-permit walkthrough, which I think was very helpful for the developer. The development officer issued a minor variance for a mini home on South Street. I believe this was to do with some of the foundation requirements. In terms of your development, year to date, there's been a a total of 3 new homes or apartment units added, 1 demolition of a home. There's been 15 building or development permits issued year to date, 6 new in the last month. Your total construction value is 1.4 million year to date. You've had 2 tentative subdivision plans approved with 3 new building lots added. There's been 2 variances approved year to date. And in terms of enforcement, there's been 8 new enforcement files opened in Eastern Charlotte year to date. And so that's under the 3 acts, the Community Planning Act, Building Code Administration Act, or the Dangerous on the Sightly Premises Bylaw, which is under Local Governance Act. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Councilor Dederakis, you're first.
So, Alex, I know by 2028, we're supposed to have a municipal rural plan. Could you just briefly, I know we've talked about this, but could you just briefly re-explain what is the difference between the two?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. So right now, where Eastern Charlotte is classified as a rural community, the type of bylaw it can have in terms of bringing the community together, because there's various bylaws. We're still talking about the Village of Blacks Harbor Rural Plan, still have the Town of St. George Municipal Plan. They're all still in effect. Penfield's Rural Plan. So eventually, by 2028, you will need to have 1 new rural plan for the Eastern Charlotte, which is classified as a rural community. And as council's obviously been discussing, becoming a town would allow you to develop a municipal plan bylaw. There is some benefits to having a municipal plan bylaw versus a rural plan, and there's a number of things in consideration. For example, municipal plan bylaw will cover infrastructure and other municipal services that relate to development of the community in the future. It does provide more flexibility to council in terms of what it prescribes in its subdivision bylaw for standards for roads, for example. If you're a rural community, you must essentially just adopt the DTI standard for your road construction, versus if you're a municipality, or sorry, town, you have more flexibility for setting road standards. So there are some advantages in terms of what you can do as a town versus a rural community. But if you do stay as a rural community, you can accomplish many of the things in terms of land use and zoning that council wants to do as a rural community with a rural plan. So there's a little bit of that comparison, but that's my high-level summary of it.
I just have a follow-up question. And what is the average timeline for each respective plan?
Well, if we're contracted to Eastern Charlotte to deliver this and deliver it by the deadline, and there's no added cost either way, and it's really going to be driven by council in terms of council's public engagement timelines. You know, how many public engagement sessions you want to conduct, and the background and research portion will be largely it will be the bulk of the work, is actually talking to people what they want to achieve, and then bringing that back to council in a report. So if we do it as a municipal plan, there's going to be it's going to be a wider depth of research. But I think what we'll end up doing, it will probably be a very similar timeline for what we bring to you. We will get it done by the time the 2028, January 1st, 2028 deadline. And I think the new council, essentially, it will be a priority to get that work started as soon as possible.
Councilor Hatt.
So that'll be the time if council wants to look at fixing the problem, like i.e. in Penfield, if you want to divide your land to give ones to your kids, it's got to only be 5 acres that gets broke up, and that whole racket that goes on.
Yeah, so I mean, this is definitely a time to look at all the things related to land use. So yeah, looking at it from the point of view of, you know, is it agricultural land or is it other types of resource land, and you know, what's the appropriate lot size for that? There's provincial standards now for that all rural plans, all municipal plans will have to adhere by. So it is definitely an important conversation. I know it's very, you'll hear a lot from rural about the topic, and it's something we do need to we need to get into in this coming year for sure.
Any other questions or comments for, yeah, go ahead, Councilor.
Is there any test case, I guess, in regards to like setbacks and lot sizes for those rural areas if we're developing a municipal plan?
So if you're talking about like just a generic setback for a building, typically in rural, your setback is going to be 7.5 meters, but 25 feet. That's been the standard for many years, primarily because that's what Department of Transportation has asked for in terms of a highway setback, 7.5 meters. In a municipal plan or rural plan context, either or in this case, council could have the discretion to make that less. But keeping in mind that setback exists because when plow trucks are clearing snow, sometimes rocks go flying off the road, and they don't want to have the plow truck operators and the companies and DTI itself be liable for damages caused from flying debris to houses if they're built right up on the road. So that's one reason why they have asked for that setback, 7.5 meters, yeah.
Councilor Lee, you're next.
Just one thing, Alex. I know this question's been asked before because I probably asked it, but under the one plan, we will be able to have different sets of bylaws for different areas?
For sure, yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't need a whole new set, but there could be some that need to be changed a little.
Yeah, it's a very good point, yeah. So you can have different zones for different areas, and that would, I think, quite obviously happen. There won't be one zone covering all the areas. That actually used to be how the Penfield plan was. It was just one zone for the entirety of Penfield, but it didn't really work when there were certain kinds of developments wanting to come in. For example, industry was prohibited for the longest time in Penfield because of that. So now there's industrial zones in appropriate locations and such. But yeah, you're going to want different zones for different areas.
Oh, geez, I got all kinds of hands. Councilor Thompson, you're first.
It's my understanding that the Village of Bucktouche, they have a plan for their main street, a plan for their village center, and a plan for their rural areas.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we could do the same thing here and not be under the municipality bylaws.
So what you would do if you're going to do that, basically you still have to have one rural plan and one municipal plan depending on the classification of the municipality. And underneath it, what we can do, it would be a supplementary, we would be doing it after we do the main plan, come back to do a secondary plan. So let's say Fundy Bay wanted a secondary plan to deal with particular issues that are in the Fundy Bay, right? You could come back for a rural plan or a secondary municipal plan for just that area. You could even do it even for like a neighborhood that council's planning and is going to do some of the construction. You can do a secondary plan for just an area, like a couple streets. So it's a tool that can be used to kind of zero in on a geography.
Thank you.
Councilor Hatt, you're next.
So today, the old village of Blacks Harbor, the old town limits of St. George, we have obviously operate under a different thing than what the royal plan is. So right now, there'll be no issues us adopting something similar of them two areas, as Councilor Thompson mentioned, versus a rural area.
That's
Like,
right.
That'll be no problem inside of that rural plan to be able to do that.
Yeah, and actually, even if you look at the current municipal plan for the town of St. George, like right now you have areas that are considered within the urban services boundary, so you got sewer and water. You can do duplexes, multiplexes, commercial, institutional, and they can connect to municipal sewer and water, so the density is greater. Again, to rural, it's in the former town of St. George, then you're talking about 1 acre lots for rural residential, or the 2 hectare lots for the agricultural parcels. And that's within one municipal plan. So a municipal plan doesn't mean all the rural area becomes urban, certainly not. In a municipal plan, you can have rural areas that are designated rural with much less bylaws, dictating this, thus and so. When you get into tighter areas of towns where people are living up on each other, you do need a little bit more rules, because that's when problems can ensue. So in rural, you can certainly have much fewer rules, and that can be all done under a municipal plan or a rural plan. So either way.
Okay, I guess that's all the questions.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, thank you. At this point, I'll read out loud tonight my report, the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission report, February the 26th. All members were present at the meeting. For St. Andrews was the deputy mayor, and Grand Manan was the deputy mayor. Business arising from previous meetings, there was an update on community wildfire resiliency plan. Each community will receive a copy when it's done. There was an update on the St. Stephen Airport site, but the update is still ongoing. Solid waste, Mike Young, his report, he's hauling aggregate to the site to cover material. A new landfill gas capture well is currently being installed, and this will be connected to the system and will be brought online this spring and summer. Local and regional planning, which Alex was just here, he's exploring to expand the dangerous or unsightly premises enforcement service across the region, along with the funding of demolition costs. I don't know if you knew that or not, but you're working on that, right? Okay, that's good. Once council votes to deem properties dangerous or unsightly, the Service Commission will manage the remainder of the work. Regional Economic and Workforce Development, Charlene Hatt. The regional job openings hit a record high of 237 this month. Spring Regional Employment Fair is scheduled for April the 14th at the Garsland Civic Center. Planning continues for the 2026 Southwest Business Summit with the keynote Arlene Dickinson. She'll be the keynote speaker. Tickets went on sale in early February. Regional Tourism Promotion by Stephen McDougall. The Southwest Tourism Summit is taking place March 28th at Dominion Hill, and it will include sessions on customer service, dinner, keynote speaker, networking opportunities for tourism operators in the region. Tickets are on sale now. There's a Driftscape app, a regional online service for tours is being investigated, and a possible purchase of tower viewers and being installed in the region. That is being worked on, talked about as well. The CEO report, Hollis Bartlett, the website has had an uptick in traffic. Municipal election orientations for new board members being worked on to occur in early June. And Hollis will make himself available to attend municipal orientations as well. And that's that for that report. Any questions or anything on that, Councilor Dederakis?
I have questions related to the report from last month. Could I ask some questions?
Yeah, if I can remember.
Okay, sure. So on the last month's report.
Are you talking which month?
That would have been from January 23rd.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Yeah, of course.
I can hardly remember.
That's all I ask. It was under lines with community development. There was mention of a food coordinator project, and there was said something about that funding is available but not launched yet. It was my first time hearing about this. What is this?
What was it again?
A food coordinator project. Is the Service Commission now working in line with food
Oh,
security?
that's under Charlene's section, was it?
It was under community development. It may have been Raymond Funk.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm not sure. I'll have to
Okay.
check with Raymond. Raymond's been out sick, I guess, lately too. So,
Okay.
So I'll have to check with Raymond. He's been.
And my
it'll be
last
done.
question is, it was also from the last report, and maybe, Mr. Henderson, you could comment on this. It was about it was like or your worship, it was about an infrastructure scan inventory. There was a proposal for all of the region to adopt this technology, so all municipalities would be up to date on what infrastructure needs to be replaced and when. Is there an update on that, or is there?
Yeah, I'll let Alex.
Because, like, we have a lot of aging infrastructure in Eastern Charlotte, and this would be excellent for our municipality. Yeah.
Yeah, so through your worship, I think I did mention this in a report to the council, like one of my reports to council, and it's what it is GIS. And we use GIS all the time. And you guys actually already have your assets mapped on GIS. What we were proposing to do is some municipalities don't even have that yet, but it's still early stages, and we're looking at ways that we can maybe like if there is a for Jason's current system, if there's work done and it needs something mapped, or if there's something queries need to be made, then we could potentially host some of that data, and it could be a fairly quick turnaround where it's not necessarily incurring an engineering expense to do it. And so that was just it's not to replace your engineering or asset management, which is in-house at your municipality. It's certainly just to support through the mapping that we can do.
Thank you, Alex. All right, fire report, Councillor Thompson.
The fire report for February 2026, they had 5 fire calls, 10 rescue calls, 16 mutual aid calls, 4 false alarms for a total of 38. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments on that, Councillor Nunn? We're going to move ahead, and that'll move into Public Works, Councillor McQuarrie.
For St. George, well, it's been a bad winter for both of them, St. George and Blacks. They've had a lot of snow to move around. Trucks have been breaking down. Other equipment has been too, but they've been getting it fixed as fast as possible, keeping up with the snow. Doing potholing whenever weather allows. What else? They're working on their inventory for this year. They're doing regular checks on water and wastewater treatment systems. Wastewater monitoring report has been completed. Drinking water annual report has been completed. Water flushing will take place in April or sooner, but I think it's going to be in April. They'll continue to do locates for CBCI. The curb stops that is located will be applied to our electronic mapping. And Irving Oil Service work on heaters, snow plowing and sanding the hills still going on. They'll need it this weekend, in case you didn't know. They pulled a pump on the Wellington lift station. It's been repaired and put back in service. And they too are working on repairing trucks that have been breaking down. That's about it.
What was that you said about this weekend?
More snow.
Oh, my goodness. The bearer of great news, eh?
2 more weeks and then it'll all be gone.
I just want to point out a couple items in the St. George Public Works. They've started to do some cross training with Blacks Harbor Public Works, and so far we've been able to get one person from each department to spend time at the other, which has been great to have people working in both areas. And water flushing will take place in April or sooner in Blacks Harbor as well too, so people know that. Any questions or comments? Councillor Hatt, you're next.
Your worship, through you, more probably to the CAO.
Yeah.
This is time of year that usually we put in orders for sand and salt. Is that on range for that? Because I know one year we were pretty late to the last minute of getting it late in the fall because we were late putting it in, so.
Yeah, I'll double check for Blacks Harbor, getting the sand and salt in, the order in before the end of the year is usually, the request usually comes out of Sussex, so I'll double check to make sure.
Okay, you know what I mean? Parks and Recreation, I guess I'll do that one tonight. Unless Deputy Mayor would like to do it, or okay, I do it. Eastern Charlotte Recreational Complex. Ice maintenance is done daily. Simcoe is scheduled to for shutdown and to overhaul the compressor number 1 for the week of March 23rd. They're reaching out some concept designs on new playground equipment for the play area at the Eastern Charlotte Recreational Center. Windor, it was here to measure for new doors to be installed. Receiving quotes for replacement windows in the arena and the YMCA gym side. Replace 3 outside dusk of dawn lights with new LED. The new Parks and Recreational truck should be here in March. We ordered some fun colors. That's coming up this weekend. Fun colors from Jet Ice for the paint. When they paint the ice night we are hosting on our last weekend of the season. We removed a few arena board advertisements. So if you are a local business and are interested in having your ad on the boards, please reach out to the municipal office for this exciting advertising opportunity. New security cameras have been installed. Camera for the ice surface viewing installed and is now available for the public viewing through the Eastern Charlotte website. We are offering free opportunities to get out and enjoy our facility, like pucks and sticks on Mondays and Thursdays, adult skate Tuesdays and Thursdays, tots, kiddos, and ice Wednesdays, and open skate on Tuesdays. Canal Beach, they're ordering a life ring to be mounted on the premises, planning for spring cleanup, and adding of topsoil and grass seed to be in the areas in need. Ball fields they're planning for spring work. The planning for spring work is underway, such as the possibility of doing additional drainage at the Veterans Field out here, also bringing in topsoil and seed for the outfield to try and level it and get grass growing back healthy. I'm reaching out to local companies for quotes, contacting fencing companies to quote repairs to the fencing around the fields as well. The splash pad, winter season, periodic checks of the pump house and grounds. Riverside Park, winter season, the building grounds have been checked regularly. Life ring is to be mounted on the premises as well. Playgrounds have been checked regularly. And the community gardens, water shut off and gardening equipment put away for the season, and periodic checks on those buildings. And that is from Drew Dugan. Any questions or comments on that tonight, Councillor Hatt? No?
Your worship, I want to say thanks to Jason and Drew Dugan. I would have read this tonight as it was my last night of being the rec chair. I have since then asked council to remove me from all committees, and focus on the water and Blacks Harbor, my last bit of time that I have on council. But I want to touch on one event that is near and dear, that we've been planning for a while, and that is we're going to open the facility up, bring all your kids, bring anybody that you would like, adults, whoever, and the sheet of ice is going to be wide open, and there's a bunch of fun colors that have been done. We're going to paint the ice, whatever little things. Obviously, there will be some supervision with that, so we don't have stuff wrote by teens out on the ice that shouldn't be there. But at the end of the day, it'll be a fun night of painting whatever they want, and kids, just a fun, bring the community together. And then I believe we're going to kind of seal it in, and then Drew is going to flood it so it seals, and then the kids will be able to go out and skate on all their artwork. So something a little bit different for the last hurrah. And once again, I just want to say thank you to Jason and Drew Dugan for over the last 3-4 years of being support as the chair for that recreation committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, any other committee reports tonight? Councilor Dedorakis, you're next.
This is a report for the Age Friendly Committee, prepared by Sharon Travis. I will give Amy the copy of this later. The Age Friendly Committee received a grant from the New Brunswick Department of Justice and Public Safety to host several emergency preparedness workshops aimed at seniors. The first workshop on March 28th is for first responders and volunteers who interact with seniors. It will cover trauma-informed evacuation and crisis support for seniors by 1, providing an overview of trauma-informed approaches for seniors, 2, enhance knowledge and skills for effective compassionate evacuation, 3, foster collaboration among local agencies and first responders. And then a second workshop specifically for seniors will include first responders and volunteers from the first workshop and focus on emergency preparedness, evacuation, planning, etc. And that is a report.
Did you want to mention April the 7th?
April the 7th is that the day that we get our official
Are you new to the test now?
nomination? Oh, the date has, but I'm scared that I don't want to announce it because the date might be
I thought you knew it.
changed up. So
No, it was changed about 10 times
it's
before.
been changed sometimes, but this would be the declaration of Eastern Charlotte as an age-friendly community, which is wonderful news.
Yeah.
But hopefully the date doesn't change. So
So
What is
far,
the date, your worship? It's April,
April the 7th.
7th,
Yeah, it's
April
on a
7th.
Tuesday, I believe it is. Let me double
That's my
check.
report.
It's a Tuesday. Here you go. I guess the ministers are available in the month of April, I guess. Okay, that brings us to the financial statement tonight. I need a motion to accept the financial reports for January 2026. Or is it, would that be February maybe? Or January? February, yeah, sorry. I need a motion for February, sorry. Deputy Mayor? Seconded by Councillor McQuarrie. Question or comment on the motion? All those ready to accept the finance reports for February 2026 signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Old business is social media, policy and training. Go to Jason on this.
Thank you, Your Worship. So just to update with some of the old business items, staff social media and training. Staff has completed some training available through the Canadian Association for Municipal Communicators. That's CAMAC. The CMAC is a nonprofit association providing training resources and networking opportunities to municipalities, communicators across Canada, and we'll be offering an accredited program later this year as well. So it's a very good resource. The association includes access to training on best practices for professional communication and responsible content management, privacy protection, and the appropriate public engagement on social media platforms. In addition to completing initial training, staff will continue to participate in ongoing professional development relating to social media use and digital communications. I guess we've circulated with the policy with social media. We still have it. We'll maintain that on the April's agenda meeting. I know even with, some councillors have had some discussions just on maybe some things that can be updated in that policy. So we'll keep that on the agenda for the April meeting.
Great. Questions or comments? If not, we'll move ahead to 9B, bylaw EC-03-26, an amendment to bylaw EC-03, remuneration of council. And did you want to speak on this? Yep.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is, we're looking for a third and final reading and enactment for bylaw EC-03-26, bylaw to amend the bylaw number EC-03, a bylaw respecting the remuneration of council for Eastern Charlotte. So just to review, we have had first and second reading, and it's been open for any type of feedback. And I guess just for so residents are aware, the update is that we're just basically changing the schedule for salaries and allowances to be paid biweekly. So moving from some councillor schedule was monthly, so it is moving to a biweekly. Certainly with our new pay system, that worked out better as well. So we'd be looking for a motion to move this to a third and final reading.
Just to make it clear, it's not an increase, it's just changing the ways.
No change.
Just make that clear. I know Councillor Tidd made sure of that last month. Yeah. Okay, so at this point, I need a motion for a third and final reading. Councillor Lee.
Be it resolved that council accept the third and final reading and adopt bylaw EC-03, remuneration of council.
We have a motion on the floor for third and final reading. I need a seconder for that. Councillor Tidd, question or comment on the motion? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor.
So I guess more question probably to Your Worship or the CAO. And this is just to try to bring everybody's into the pay structure being the same, and also so the office staff doesn't have to go into this 3 times a month and do payroll, correct? That's the only differences, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. No increases. Good. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. We have a seconder. And no other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, that's passed unanimously. Bylaw EC-06-A, a replacement by bylaw respecting all terrain vehicles on municipal roads for Eastern Charlotte. Jason.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we've done first and second reading. We've done a public consultation or public input meeting, actually. That was one of our special meetings that we had. So right now it's in a status of waiting for final feedback from DTI. We've sent everything to DTI. They wanted street by street mapping. Took a little bit, but they do have all of that now. So we'll just be waiting for DTI to come back and give the the no pun intended, green light to this. So this will be as well on the agenda for the April meeting. Hopefully, we'll be able to do a third and final reading for that one.
Great. Any questions or comments on that? Councilor Dederakis, you're first.
I have a question for our CEO. Have we received any letters from residents opposing these amendments?
Not that I'm aware of. Nothing that's come to my desk. No.
Perfect. And for Schedule A for the approved routes, there's Adventure Lane. So just to clarify, this does not include the actual trails. This is just having access to the space, the
Street.
park, correct?
Yeah, it just would be the street only.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect.
Any other questions? If not, that moves us ahead to 9D. At this point, I'm going to turn this over to the deputy mayor. Do you want this? I'll leave that there.
As per our conversation on a complaint against the mayor, we have moved forward with a code of conduct investigation, so. Yeah. We will now address the code of conduct complaint in accordance with our bylaw and code of conduct regulations. So since this was legal advice, we have the ability and the necessity to move into a closed session at this point, so. At this time, I need a motion to move to a closed session. Councilor McClory, seconder. And Mike, whoops, sorry, Mike. And all those in favor? Aye. So we will now move into a closed session, so I've technically got to ask you guys to vambouche. Please and thank you. Yeah. I guess technically I forgot to ask for the questions from council before we go to closed session, so are there any questions?
Yes, yes, Deputy, I have a question. My question is, why in this circumstance would we be going behind closed doors?
On advice from our legal counsel, section 68 1F, where it involves legal opinion,
Okay,
we have to go to closed session.
okay, thank you for clarifying that.
That should have been mentioned. I guess I skipped by that, but it is on advice from council. We do have to. We have,
Advice from our lawyer, the
Our lawyer, yes,
municipal
our
lawyer,
counsel,
okay.
our lawyer,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
so any other questions? So that's all the questions. Now we will go with a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Carry. Now you leave. Oh, welcome back, everybody. So we need a motion to return to open session. Oh, we already did that? Okay, that was done on the by, I didn't. So, we're back. Motion on the determination of breach of action if breach found. And by the lawyer's advice, we had a breach on 2 items. So I guess we need a motion now on how council wishes to proceed with sanctions, if any.
Make a point of information, it's a point of information, I believe. Could you, it's a question for our CAO, could you please clarify the option of letter of reprimand? What does that actually mean?
Letter of reprimand
Yeah,
would be
under
a-
sanctions.
Yeah, a letter of reprimand would be a letter from council to the person, saying that, you know, it's basically an official letter saying this is the views of council. This would be like a letter of reprimand that that person would receive. So not a letter from, but a letter to. So saying you've violated this, you know, this is legal review, so more or less be a letter to that person.
This is just a very formal way of
Exactly.
communicating
Yes.
what's going on. Okay.
So should we read these 7 items out to the public record?
That's,
Don't really need to.
that would be my suggestion, that we read the sanctions, whatever sanctions are within, out to the public.
So, under sanctions, section 2A, council may impose sanctions on a member of council who contravenes the council code of conduct in the following forms. Number 1 is a letter of reprimand. Number 2, request a letter of apology. Number 3, request to attend training. Number 4, suspension or removal of the mayor or deputy mayor as official spokesman for council. Number 5 is suspension or removal from some or all council committees and bodies which council has the right to appoint members. Number 6, restricting the privileges of attending conferences and workshops at Eastern Charlotte's expense. And number 7 is reduction or suspension of remuneration as council may deem appropriate. So that is our 7 options, if you so choose, or. So I guess at this point now, I need a motion or Councilor Direct.
I'll make the motion. I move that council determine that Mayor Craig has breached the code of conduct as outlined in the report, and that council impose the following corrective actions in accordance with the code of conduct regulation. The motion that I would put forward would be for a letter of reprimand.
We have a motion on the floor. Do I have a
And
second?
and and this has to be sent within the next 30 days, I guess.
Yeah,
Yep.
30 would probably be more. So we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilor Hatt. Questions?
I do have more questions and comments going forward on these procedures that I would definitely like for us to clean this bylaw that is ineffective for us dealing these situations if the act has been deemed that we are not valid with our bylaw, because as a person here that's going to make a decision, our bylaw doesn't support, and we're going by an act. And to me, as a counselor, the only gift that we can give to the next council when they have to deal with stuff like this is to make sure you have a rock-solid bylaw on how this should work.
And that's under new business, under 10G, so you should be able to approach that at that.
Yeah, it's just, there's not enough information, Deputy Mayor,
Absolutely.
at this time,
It's,
unfortunately.
we're in the midst of a change, I guess, by the province on the municipal bylaws, so we're kind of hanging, but we got to deal with what's. So we have a motion, a seconder. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? 2, 3, 4. That's unanimous. Okay, so now we need a motion to go back into, or to invite the mayor back in, I guess, please. I guess we don't need a motion, just to invite him in.
glasses. They got prism lenses in them to try to return my eye. I got an eye that's way out of focusing. My eyes. I could use some sugar.
You gotta see your mother-in-law.
Ready, chief?
I know.
We can share. At this point, I'll turn the meeting back over to the mayor.
That brings us to new business, I guess. Capital review, 10A, capital renewal fund. Oh, 10A, capital renewal fund. Go to Jason.
Thank you, Your Worship. So it's for new business here, Capital Renewal Fund. This is the CRF we've been talking about. So we're looking at utilizing the CRF, which is Capital Renewal Fund. Has to be capital items that have to be renewed. Right now for 2026, Clinch Street water renewal, 2027 Glenny Court water renewal, 2028 Portage Street water renewal, and 2029 is the Brunswick Street water renewal. Much like the gas tax plan, they can be changed, but we'd be looking for the adoption of this plan for the time being to get this back to the province. It's actually a little bit past due as well, so that would just be for the capital renewal fund.
Good. Is there anything you need? We need a motion for that? Okay, we need a motion. I see hands. Capital, Councilor Thompson.
One question. This is just the water? There's no sewer involved in this? Okay.
So I'll entertain a motion. Deputy Mayor.
Be it resolved that council approve the capital renewal fund for the 26 to 2029.
We have a motion on the floor. I need a seconder. Councilor Lee. Question or comment on the motion?
I do.
Councilor Dedirakis.
Just for clarification, this is a question for our CAO. Brunswick Street water renewal, that's for Brunswick Street in St. George?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, that's passed unanimously. 10B is the bylaw Z.2.7 amendment to bylaw Z.2, the rural plan for Blacks Harbor. Alex is still here. If the council had any more questions, we've already done the, we need a first reading tonight. You'll get it, Jason.
So this would be bylaw number Z.2.7, amendment to the bylaw Z.2, being the rural plan for the village of Blacks Harbor. Nope, sorry about that, my apologies. So this is bylaw number Z.2.7, bylaw to amend the Z.2 being the rural plan for the village of Blacks Harbor. So we'd be looking for a first reading by title only.
Okay, so I need a motion for that tonight before we can move ahead. See any hands? No hands? No hands?
I'll make it.
Councilor Dedirakis, right?
Be it resolved that council accepts the first reading by title only of amendment bylaw Z.2.7 to bylaw Z.2, rural plan for Blacks
We
Harbor.
have a motion on the floor by Councilor Dedirakis, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Question or comment on this? Alex is here if you have a question.
Do we have like Cole's notes of what's gonna change, or,
I'll let Alex.
like, not a long one, just high topics?
Yep, through your worship. So, yeah, this is a rezoning of a piece of land to the integrated development zone. It's a type of development that's not contemplated by the rural plan, so council has the authority to set up a unique zone for the property, and that's what the ID zone is, the integrated development zone does. So it's a proposal for 5 cabins. The cabins, the intention of the developer is to make them tourist accommodations. And they want the flexibility that if they need to shift them to long-term rentals, gives them some opportunities on their business plan. So to do that, council can create this unique zone. And with that, you have to set conditions for like setbacks, building heights, all the things that go into a normal zone. So it's just for that property. As well as conditions, there's a number of things the rural plan would contemplate. For example, drinking water supplies, making sure there's adequate supplies there. So there's no municipal water, so they'd be on well, septic. And so when you have that kind of density on a lot with no services, you got to make sure that there's adequate water supplies. You're not going to impact neighbors. As well, it's right on the coast, so Sturgeon Cove, a beautiful location, as you can see from the planning report. But there's some sensitivity around if there was clear cutting of all the trees that could cause erosion, as well as impact the environment. So recommendations around that, as well as privacy screening. So this was subdivided off 230 Greenlaw Valley Road, or sorry, 226 Greenlaw Valley Road. The property itself was a subject of a dangerous and unsightly cleanup. They have successfully complied with all the orders and are cleaning up. But that remnant property with that house at 226 Greenlaw Valley Road would be right up against the driveway. So planning staff are recommending to council to put in a condition for a fence. So where if the tourists or the renters are coming down the driveway, they're not going to bother the people who are living in that house. So that's in Cole's notes version, basically the high level.
It was 5?
Five small homes, yeah.
Small homes, okay?
Cabins, small
Well, I know,
homes.
but that's the thing, the mix-up we're getting.
Yeah.
Because people have asked, and I said, small homes, now I'm
Yeah.
hearing tonight's tourist cabins. So which is it?
So
Both?
it could, that's where they're looking for a mixed type of development
Mixed, okay.
approval. So they could do either or.
Oh, okay,
And have
okay.
council's permission to flip the use as it sees fit
Yeah,
according to
because
their.
I didn't want to give people
Yeah.
the wrong information, and I never heard tourist cabins until tonight.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, it's a
yeah.
bit unique.
Yeah. Councilor Hatt.
Yeah, so until, to the worship's comment, until 35 seconds ago, I was under the understanding that this was a kind of like tiny home kind of idea.
Yeah.
And now that's maybe not true.
No, it is, you're correct. There are 600, in the reports, you see it's 5 small 600 square foot dwellings. So dwelling, you think of, it's a small home, cabin. You can use lots of lingo, it all is synonymous. It all means the same thing. Short-term rentals, an Airbnb is somebody renting their little home as a tourist accommodation. But they are looking for the flexibility to do long-term rental or short-term rental out of these small dwellings. 600 square feet is code exempt, meaning it's built, they may be self-built, they may be using unstamped lumber, and that's totally okay for that type of size of dwelling. So they are small homes, small dwellings, small cabins, all applicable. Dwellings is the more universal term.
Dwellings, yeah. I just want people to know that I didn't lie to them.
No, no.
Can we get clarification on that, though? Because that is different. Small, tiny homes are different than geodomes or whatever.
Sure.
And what do you call this, integrated use?
Well, the reason I got questions was because the first thing that people think of when they think of smaller homes is the people without I guess people living on the streets and setting up a whole area. That's the first thing people thought of in their area. So
Through your worship, so what, with the integrated development zone in your package there,
Yeah.
so the bylaw itself actually provides quite a lot of details. So you can have, on the last page there, council has in front of it, Schedule C-3, that provides the visual of what they're going to construct.
Right.
So you see the small dwelling. and the floor plan. So
Gotcha.
all 5 would look like that. And that would be the requirement they would have to follow. They've come in with an application for a geodome or a yurt, it would be rejected. It wouldn't follow the bylaw council sets.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure, because that's what I understood from my
correct.
package, that it was going to
Yeah.
be
good.
that type of a small home, as actually stick-built house. And I just want to make sure, because what I was explained in that area is that's how that was going to be. Not a cottage, biodome, geodome kind of thing, so, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Again, Your Worship. So, yeah, so these are actually included with the bylaw itself, being Schedule C1, C2, and 3. So any variance to that would have to come back to council. So just so council's aware that the Schedule C is sort of outlining exactly what those buildings are going to be, just so that doesn't leave a whole lot of room for interpretation once it's passed.
Yeah, like I'm okay with what was in the package here. It was just the cottage thing threw me for a loop, so.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor of the first reading signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Okay, 10B2, second reading in its entirety. Jason.
Thank you, Worship. So this will be the second reading in its entirety for bylaw number Z.2.7. I should say be saying Z if I'm Canadian here. A bylaw to amend Z.2 being the rural plan, Village of Blacks Harbor. So in its entirety, we'll have draft copies available on our website as well as at the municipal office. So we'll just be looking for a motion for second reading.
Okay, I need a motion. Okay, Councilor Hatt?
Be it resolved that council accept, oh, sorry, yeah. Actually, there's a typo here. Second reading. Be it resolved that council accept the second reading in its entirety of the bylaw Z.2.7, the amendment of the bylaw Z.2 rural plan for Blacks Harbor.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilor Hatt. I need a seconder. Councilor Thompson. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Now we have to set a date for a public hearing of objections to that. Council, what would you like to do?
Your worship, can I ask a quick question? Has the date that's been provided here been notified that the place can actually? It can? Okay. Thank you.
Just checking my calendar. This is March 31st. That's a Tuesday night. That's usually the night we're together. So we'll be meeting in Blacks Harbor that night. That's right, yeah. So, I need a motion. As Councilor Hatt said, he's asking questions on it. What I need now is for somebody to give that motion.
I can make that motion, Your
Yep.
worship. I move to schedule a public hearing of objections on bylaw Z.2.7, an amendment to bylaw Z.2 rural plan of Blacks Harbor on Tuesday, March 31st, 2026 at 6:30 PM at the Stella Maris Hall in Blacks Harbor.
Excellent. We have a motion on the floor, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hatt. Question or comment? All those in favor of the motion of having a meeting in Blacks Harbor on March 31st signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Yeah. Oops. Did I get something wrong here? Do we have to send it to BRAC? There's no motion on.
That's going to talk as well. Yes. We need a motion from council.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, good.
So we'll need a motion for this bylaw to go to prac review.
Yeah, which is the usual thing to do, yeah. Yep. Councilor Tidd?
I move that council send the amendment to PRAC for further review.
Seconder. Deputy Mayor, thank you. Question or comment, sending this to PRAC?
Just question,
yeah.
was that on the agenda to do that, or is?
With this bylaw, like it's reading 1, 2, and 3, setting public hearing dates, and you'd have to get a prac review as well
Yeah,
with these bylaws.
just for note for next time, I get the theory of that, it should just be noted on our motion sheet, that third one is coming with this as a package.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just overlooked.
Questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, that's passed unanimously. Okay. Everybody get that marked on the calendar, March 31st? Capital funds, Second Falls gazebo. I'm going to go Jason first. Just if you want to talk about it?
Yep, so we've been looking up in Second Falls for a while, just to give some kind of some more attention to our property that we have in Second Falls at the community room and fire hall. There's an area that's been sort of, at one time was a park space, and we've been trying to revitalize that space, especially being so close to Second Falls itself. And under Councilor Lee's guidance, we've been looking to try to rebuild. There used to be a gazebo that was established there years ago, and it just wasn't maintained, and it fell apart. So we've done a lot of clearing brush. We clear brush back. We're going to continue to clear brush back and to kind of re-energize a bit of a green space in that area on our property. And I think Councilor Lee may want to speak to that, or.
I'll go to Councilor Lee.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Jason, it's out on the lawn, it overlooks the falls, and there was a gazebo there for years, and it was never maintained or looked after, and it's just basically torn down. So the idea is to replace it.
Okay, Councilor Lee, I'm going to let you, want to go ahead and make a motion on this? That'd be great.
Be resolved, the council approve the use of capital funds for the amount of $15,750 to replace the Second Falls gazebo.
We have a motion on the floor. I need a seconder. Yeah, Councilor Thompson. Question or comment on this motion? Deputy Mayor, you're first.
I see there's a tax amount on it. Should the motion include the tax?
Typically, I guess that would be before tax. We have a tax exemption rate, 1.04286. So,
Just to warn us, get caught up in the 15%.
yeah, we only do 4%. So, yeah.
Question or comment? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Okay, thank you very much. That's passed unanimously. How soon would that be done? Before
End of
summer.
summer.
Before some summer. Okay, summer. Didn't say what year, but summer. Okay.
Write that down.
Okay, next is 10D. Now, Councilor Lee, I want you to be able to cut the ribbon for this, okay, when it happens? Okay, excellent. 10D, New Brunswick Medical Education Foundation. Jason.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is just with the New Brunswick Medical Education Foundation. They've come in and had some presentations to council, and looking to, over a period of 4 years, the municipality would sponsor funding to receive a doctor to come into this area. And this has been championed by Councilor Diderakis, so I'm sure she may want to add some notes to this as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would you like to make a motion, Councilor Diderak?
Sure, absolutely. Be it resolved that council approve a grant to the New Brunswick Medical Education Foundation with the annual contribution of $6,000 annually for the next 4 years. So that's 2026 to 2030.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. I need a seconder, Deputy Mayor. Question or comment?
I'll
Yeah, you
comment so I
you-
can
you- yeah,
actually
you get-
talk about
you
this
get-
because
you
I'm
get-
not sure.
You get to speak twice on this.
Yes, yes, I'm very excited
Since you
about
put the
this.
motion on.
So the New Brunswick Medical Education Foundation scholarship comes with a return of service agreement, meaning students commit to coming back and practicing in the community. Typically, it's 1 year of service per each year of funding. So ideally, 4 years of service. While healthcare isn't a municipal responsibility, many residents in Eastern Charlotte don't have access to primary care. And this is just one practical step that we can take. I know that the former town of St. George has already invested in creating a clinic space here in the St. George Mall. This is an opportunity for Eastern Charlotte to expand on that investment. So I'm very excited about this. And pending that our community is welcoming and we have strong local services, there's a real potential for that doctor to actually stay in our community. And I'm not sure if Jason, you had touched on this, but other municipalities are using this to attract doctors as well, including Rossay, Quispamsis, St. Andrews. There's a whole list of them. So that shows to me that this model works.
Questions or other questions or comments? Councilor Ted, you're next.
Just one comment, and I guess it's probably answered right here. The amount that we've suggested is basically the average that the other communities are giving currently, correct?
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Dederackis, you can speak
I
again.
guess I could say
You
one
can
more
speak
thing,
again.
actually. Yeah, so the $6,000 is the average, I know, in here from David Ryan. It was, other communities exceeded far more than that. But there's also the possibility of collaborating with local businesses and make the pot even bigger, or even get them to supplement it, if that makes sense. I'm sure the Chamber of Commerce would be a great group to approach, and I'm sure they'd be excited about that. So there's all sorts of potential with this.
Good. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, that's passed unanimously. Letter of support for the Back Bay School, 10E. Jason, would like to speak on this first?
Thank you, Your Worship. So just with the recent provincial budgeting, with looks like there's a lot of budgetary constraints and a lot of programs under review. It's been raised to council, just some concerns on local schools, and the idea that maybe, for example, Back Bay in Eastern Charlotte would be under some concerns that that could close. So this was championed by Councillor Thompson to look at putting a letter together in support of maintaining the Back Bay School for operation, and I guess every other school with Eastern Charlotte.
Okay, Councilor Thompson, would you like to make a motion?
Be it resolved that council send a letter to the Minister of Education expressing concern regarding the possibility of the closing of the Back Bay School.
Great, thank you, Councilor Thompson. I need a seconder for that, Deputy Mayor. That's a good, two from Back Bay, that's good, you guys are working together. Question or comment?
I had a question.
Councilor Hatt.
Should that maybe be that, you know, the elementary schools in general, all of them, because there could be another one that's in that criteria. Like, I'm just a question onto it.
What was the other one? Just curious, I couldn't remember the. Oh, I see, okay, I thought you knew something I didn't. No, well, that's true. Nope, I thought you knew something. Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. 10F, Black Sabbath Water Renewal RDC application. Jason.
Thank you, Your Worship. So OnGlobe met with council to review the Phase 2 water renewal for Blacks Harbor. And what it's basically adopting is a total project estimated right now at $38 million for Phase 2. So at this point, we'd like to proceed to engage the province, putting in at least an RDC application in to begin the conversation with the province on one, the funding possibilities, and as well, having those discussions with them on if it's not all of one current project, if it can be a phased approach. So we'd be looking at least getting an RDC application in for that amount, and to get the ball rolling on and seeking the provincial financial support on correcting the Black Sabbath water situation.
Councilor Hatt, would you like to make a motion?
Worship. Be it resolved that council approve OnGlobe to submit an application to RTC for Blacks Harbor Water System renewal.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilor Hatt, and he's seconded by Councilor Tidd. Question or comment on the motion? Councilor Hatt, you're first.
I got a question. I guess more information, probably, Your Worship. So yeah, this is, obviously, you just heard from the CAO that it's a $38 million project, tentatively. That's way outside the scope that was originally designed to look for water, originally just for residents. So we understand that this has turned into a lot bigger project than what was initially, because there is industrial users in that. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that, because this originally, when it was talked back in, I think, 2020, it was somewhere around the $7 to $10 million range. And that 38 million is also looking at a water treatment plant to deal with the, legacy problem with manganese down the road. So I just wanted to give a little clarification.
Yeah. the water treatment plant is definitely part of that, 38 million, for sure. Absolutely. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of this motion, this is a biggie, signify by saying aye. Okay, and this is passed unanimously, great. Just saying that there's the Black Cyber water renewal, this is probably council's #1 priority. Okay, 10G, Deputy Mayor. Did you have something here?
We had one other complaint, but I think it was previously acted on. Whoops, sorry. We had one other complaint that was submitted, but it has been previously acted on. So Jason and myself discussed it, and that has gone to legal to see. It was dealt with a long time ago. So I think it's just waiting to see if legal,
That's all I have to say, don't,
Yeah.
yes or no, I guess, was the answer.
no.
No, okay. Good, excellent. Okay, Jason, yeah.
And I guess, some of the comments with council there too, just, our code of conduct bylaw, as it stands right now, will need an amendment. There is a section in there that does say that, as previously stated, that code of conduct is at least the partial part of that is that it has to be done. As it reads today, is that it has to be in camera or closed session, and that does conflict with the act. So, staff, myself, we've already started conversations with legal on looking at the act, looking at the current bylaw, and what needs to be amended. A lot of other municipalities are going through this, and I'll just point out the fact that our code of conduct bylaw was actually written for Eastern Charlotte by the province, and then that's the one that we're actually using. So, unfortunately, that doesn't work. The Local Governance Commission has come back and said that any of those code of conducts being done in camera, they do conflict with the Local Governance Act. So. So we are looking for some legal opinion, and I think, Councillor Hatt said this, that we need to sort of sum this up and get this started, at least for the oncoming new council. So we'll be hopefully being able to present something to at the next regular meeting.
Great, thank you. Okay, correspondence, there is none tonight. Public presentation appearances. Members of the public shall be entitled to address council for 5 minutes with no debate from council. Amy, do you have the 5-minute timer up there? Do we have one? Or do we have one? I guess is probably the better question. Good, excellent. And you don't have to start yet. Give them a chance. Please note, I ask that you begin by giving your name and civic
one more.
address for the record.
Your worship,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think Councillor Dadarakis had a 10H that you,
Oh, my goodness, yes, we added that to the agenda, that's right, thank you. 10H, curb and gutter, quotes for Riverview Avenue. Jason, I think you want to speak on this first, and then we'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So, as mentioned in my report, Councillor Thompson and I sort of started with, just had a conversation, starting to put together an RFQ, looking for quotations for 3 spots. There is the Riverview Avenue curb and gutter and possible sidewalk replacement, and the island here in St. George at Lateet Road in Mount Pleasant. And Councillor Hatt raised the fact that the sidewalk section in Blacks Harbor, I guess around Mike Stewart's place, between them and the Wesleyan Church. So there's 3 areas that we're looking at, seeking some quotations on. That's somewhat drafted, but certainly I think getting a motion together, we can move forward with that too.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion. I move that, I guess, Council Director CAO to get quotes for curb and gutter repair along Riverview Avenue in St. George.
We have a motion on the floor, I need a seconder for that, Councillor Lee. Question or comment on the motion?
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if I don't make a motion, we're not look at pricing for the one in Blacks Harbor? Is that how this is gonna work?
Yeah, I think,
I can amend.
Okay.
I can amend it. Okay.
I was wondering if you're going to catch that, Councillor Hatt. Because it just stopped at Riverview Avenue.
Could you repeat that again? So it was for
Is what-
Riverview
yeah,
Avenue, yeah?
Yeah,
The pedestrian island at Mount Pleasant Road and the T Road.
and on Mount Pleasant and Litite.
Yep, and then the section on Main Street, Blacks Harbor. I don't know what the block it is, but it's basically everything. There's a section west of Blacks Harbor, Weston Church.
Okay, I have section on Main Street on Blacks Harbor. You said west of,
The Blacks Harbor, Weston.
west, what'd you say?
Weston Church.
Westling Church, excuse me. Westling Church. Okay. So I make a motion, I retract what I initially said, and I move that Council Director CO to get quotes for curb and gutter repair, as well as
Do you want to say,
sidewalk.
do you want to
And
say?
this is for,
just- sorry.
island sidewalk repair,
Okay.
for Riverview Avenue in St. George, the pedestrian island on Mount Pleasant, and Letite in St. George, as well as a section on Main Street on Blacks Harbor near the Wesleyan Church.
I see Councilor Hack's head going up and down like a bubble doll there. So I say, question or comment on the motion, Councilor Thompson?
We have general repairs that are being done anyways. That's just part of our capital repair, some of the breaks that were done. So that's on the way, on the schedule. And then we have some other repairs being done at Riverview Avenue with another break. That's okay.
Questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion, signify. Okay.
For St. George along Riverview Avenue, I had quite a few residents reaching out to me. The curbs are falling apart, they're falling on the roads, they're falling on people's properties, and it's not only visually offensive, but it's a safety concern as well. So that's my comment.
Yeah, your worship, that's probably the two pieces of sidewalk in the municipalities, or old municipality boundaries that are dire, getting to be safety concerns outside of the plaza area of the post office. That's another one there that, but I understand you guys did some repairs to that, correct? So, anyway, yeah.
Questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, that's passed unanimously. We're back to the public presence, present appearances. During this time, you give your name and your civic address. I cannot tolerate or allow anybody to make accusations against anybody on any subject that works for Eastern Charlotte, any member of council, or anybody else for that matter. If that happens, I have to stop you and be escorted out. Go right ahead. Glenn, go right ahead.
Is the light turned on? You got 30 seconds. 30 seconds, okay. Glenn Hawkins, I live 346 Shore Road. So I'd like to talk a little bit about childcare from my perspective, I guess, and to put some of the costs, et cetera, in perspective and talk about the economic benefit. But before I go from my notes, there's two things that we talked about here tonight. One being the Back Bay School. You know, if we had a childcare or a plan to build a childcare with 52 sites, et cetera, you know, that would be part of the justification to keep that school. The other one was doctor. And this is a little bit near and dear to my heart. I have a daughter-in-law in medical school. I'd love for Connor and Christine to move back and her to be a doctor in this area. But childcare will be a factor in any doctor coming here. So I keep hearing about 1.36 million. I mean, 1.36 million, when you put it that way, it's a lot of money. But what is the cost of financing the 1.36 million? You know, I believe the capital borrowing board rate would be in the range of 4%. So if we were to finance 1.36 million over 25 years, it would cost 80, 84, 85. It would cost around $85,000 a year. And that's for a new building and 52 childcare positions. And you know, this isn't when I needed childcare, although some might say I still need it. But today, the needs for childcare are extreme in our community. You know, when you look at your budget and find other places where we're spending a similar amount of money, you know, and I'm not saying don't spend this money in this spot, but, you know, we spend about $90,000 on beautification and festivals. You know, so I guess I don't need to say more. So, now if you look at the benefit, you know, there's a federal program, you know, which is billions of dollars that will be spent whether we get the 52 seats or not, and we'll pay the taxes for it. But with that benefit, we get $1 million a year coming into our community. That $1 million is to pay for those people to work in the community. That's why the daycare is $10. There's 15 employees that will work there for 52 kids. Those jobs pay almost $30 an hour. Those 15 jobs will be people that might move to this community, might build a house, might have kids in the schools to help keep them open and so on. You know, and if we don't get those 52 seats, they will go somewhere else, and our taxes won't go down. I don't have, my kids are grown up, you know, but I'd love for my 2 boys and their fiance and wife to move back here. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But you know, it takes a community to raise a kid. And the community is a huge part in anyone's child. You know, when I look back at my childhood, you know, there was a lot more than my mother that kicked me in the ass, and I probably didn't get enough of them. But, you know, I also took a tour of the St. John Y child care facility a few years ago. And, you know, I couldn't believe what I saw. You know, there was a quiet room, you know, with baby sleeping and a lady rocking a baby. There was the next room was the 2-year-olds, and they were doing their crafts. The 3-year-olds were doing something. Then there was the preschool kids. You know, the preschool kids, you know, they had their book bags and their lunch kits. Those kids were prepared to go to school. And if you Google, you know, what's the most important thing in an infant being a productive member of society, it's its first 3 to 5 years. You know, so, you know, a lot of us complain about how things are, but we determine that environment ourselves. You know, and, you know, I think the Y and its programs for early child care, and I mean, there's a reason that these seats fall under the Provincial Department of Education, because childcare is now education. And Canada is behind Scandinavia and much of Europe, and we know that. That's why the federal government has this program. So basically, you know, if our community can't come up with as much money as we pay for festivals and beautification for childcare, that's a very big disappointment for me, and I don't need childcare.
Great,
Well,
thank you.
some think I do, but.
Great, thank you very much, Glenn. Thank you. Anybody else? Going once, twice, 3 times. I'm going to go to council at this point. I'll go to the deputy mayor. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Hatt.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So Glenn, thank you. It's been a project that I know it's been near and dear to most of our hearts here. And I would ask, I was not able to make the last meeting where it was voted to axe the tender that was out. And I did write an email to council. I am disappointed in the decision of that. But I do respect council's decision that was made at that meeting that night. But I also want to make sure that we're clear on this. So 1.36 million-ish is what the cost was on our behalf. That cost on that behalf didn't include what we could raise for fundraising. It didn't include what corporate sponsors may be involved to make that amount happen. I'm a firm believer that this community, if it was important and is important, that money should not be the sole deciding factor of why we would kill this. And I understand that's probably not the right term, but kill the tender, sorry. But let's be honest. I do have some problems from the beginning of this project. On the tendering process, how it was done, I have voiced my opinion on that, and I know many councillors have voiced their opinion on that process. The build package was never delivered to this council or any member of this council to review to see if that building was a design that would fit for Eastern Charlotte. I.e., we don't have the information that needs to build a childcare building for the children, but the specs, quality, moldings, trims, the stuff that costs big money on a build, as anybody who's building houses know, it isn't the stick structure that ends up costing. I feel that at that time, that is where this project started to slide off the rails. And we have voiced that opinion. And any time that I've been part of any build project, professional career or at council, that package would have came back. Council would have had a chance to go through that and to look at that for cost-cutting measures, i.e., most of us have seen a picture of the building. If that building was going to be built over there tomorrow at 6,500 square foot, approximately, the roof structure doesn't even match the roof structure of this building. So would you build a building that doesn't match the one next to it? And I think most of council have seen that. I mean, simple things like that, aesthetics alone, I think this council should have had that chance to go through that and been able to critique that before we sent that out to tender. Would that have saved money in this build process? I think it would have, and I think it would have been significant. Glenn brought up about childcare, and he's right. 100%. You nailed it on completely with a hammer, Glenn. Except the number, the last I heard was going to be around 84 kids if the extension was given of many more seats. Whether that's true numbers or not, that's what was given. So but with that, if there was 84 slots eventually, if the second round or third round of seats come, 50 to 80, with that, today that would allow people to move into our community. We do not know at this time of what the economic impacts would be to having that. That's unmeasurable. We can think, we can rough estimate that, but we don't know the economic impacts of that. We don't know the economic impacts of having a building that was increased in size to allow an after-school program. After-school program of having 3 kids raised in Charlotte County, that was a real struggle, and I'm quite sure today it's still a struggle for parents. Having a safe and secure place for your kid to go that's licensed is very important while you're at work. I think it's very important to our community that we do the due diligence as much as we can to look at what things could enable this of not being a huge cost even to the municipality. The cost is what's been brought up. The cost, though, hasn't been talked about fundraising. We've discussed about having a fundraising committee, but I'll give you one quick example. In less than 50 weeks, in Eastern Charlotte, we were able to raise over $1.3 million in this community through Chase the Ace. That was sold tickets all over this New Brunswick, 100%. But this community supported that and embraced that to get money back into the community for charities that needed it. I can only say that living here for, unfortunately, next week, 45 years, I guess I'm getting old, is that we have a community that if they want something and you're fundraising it, I've never seen a $20 bill being bought to buy tickets to get that across the line. We also heard many times that we still call this childcare, daycare, after-school care. It's a much bigger picture than that. When I started in school, I went to daycare before I went to school. Today, when my kids went to what I would call daycare still, because of my age, it wasn't daycare. It was early childhood education, as Glenn touched on as well. I'm just sorry, Glenn, I'm gonna use you because you brought them points up here tonight. I feel that this is an important role to the success of Eastern Charlotte, and I feel that there's a way to get this important build into our community by looking at this at a different way. And that is to have more people involved in this, to have council or Eastern Charlotte run this, not people running this project for us. Keep the reins on this project, keep the cost under control, and let's engage this community and find a fundraising stream or corporate sponsorships, because we all know most places around here, you can go on Career Beacon are looking for employees. If you want employees, especially younger in the age, they need a place for their kids to go. And I think it's a very important project that the municipality, probably doesn't need to have to get into because we keep hearing it's a provincial project. But unfortunately, we are a desert for childcare. And unfortunately, if we don't have the help of the municipality and the backing of our community to build such a place, I don't believe it'll ever be done. Not at the scale that we're looking for. I understand there is private ones out there today, and yes, do I believe that we probably should look at doing something to help them out equally? But I think if it opened 50-some seats tomorrow, they'd be all spoken for within a matter of a month. So that tells me still that we do not have enough, even at a building that size. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, Councilor Dedirakis.
So I had a resident point something out to me, and it really stuck with me. And, I was kind of venting to her because I was a little, frustrated with the trajectory of how things are going. And I was just like, oh, you know what? I realized, we don't have a 5-year plan, the municipality. And she, snapped back, and she was just like, Alexi, you don't just not have a 5-year plan. You also lack, not just me, I mean, the Eastern Charlotte, we lack a 20-year vision. And I was really struck by that, So the question the question becomes, how do we want to build forward? What do we want our community to look like? What are we going to do to ensure families are not forced to leave for better opportunities? What are we going to do to ensure our young adults stay in Eastern Charlotte? Glenn, you mentioned that you would like your daughter-in-law to practice here, and she's a prospective doctor. Wouldn't it be great if we had those services to accommodate her? That's how we build a great community. Because if we're not thinking long-term, then we're not leading, we're just reacting. And for the last 2 terms that I've been on council, this has been a major decision-making for me, major factor in my decision-making. And yeah, the future doesn't stop tomorrow. It just keeps going and going. So we can't just think short-term. We have to think long terms. And with a new council coming, my hope is that we have a council that's eager to think about the long-term future of Eastern Charlotte. I do want to expand on the childcare part of what you shared, Glenn, because investing in early childhood education and childcare is a working class issue. If you have no childcare, you have no working class. I remember someone had told me that, we're not St. John, so we don't really need these services. And we don't have doctors and lawyers. But in our community, we do have doctors and lawyers, but we also have folks that pick up the garbage, that work in the fire department. Anyone that works and has children requires childcare. I'm not sure if it was very clear to the public, and Councillor Hatt, you did touch on a bit about this, but nearly 50% of the project was covered by the province and the feds. And this is for an asset for the municipality to own. The YMCA could pay rent. There was also the possibility of having corporate donors to be involved in the project. This is still ongoing, hopefully. And you're right, if we don't get those seats, another municipality is going to grab them. And I know of one municipality that's nearby that would be eager to get those 52 seats and grab them. So we have to be proactive in our decision-making. Thank you.
Councillor Lee. Oh, sorry, Councillor McQuarrie, sorry for that. Okay, Councillor Lee. Councillor McQuarrie? Okay, who do we have left? Councillor Tidd.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. In regards to childcare, I voted basically to the end of the tendering process that we had. I don't feel, it was, some of that was with the funding, but I'm in favor of childcare. Listen, between me and my wife, we have 7 children. My oldest is 33, my youngest is 4. I have 4 living at home. So yeah, I'm for childcare. We need childcare in this area. I think we need to reevaluate on what that looks like, but I'm certainly all for childcare in this area.
Oh, that's it. You're done. Okay. Just for let everybody know, we did present a check tonight for Lake Utopia, their new building up there for childcare tonight. So that'll be out on Facebook tomorrow, I guess, or the town site tomorrow. Date and location of our next regular meeting of council is Wednesday, April the 15th, which will be the last one for this council, and be here at Macadavic Place. At this point, I need a motion for adjournment. Deputy Mayor, thank you. 15, oh, your last one, you won't be here?